And good afternoon almost from Bonn, Germany. I'm HelenePapper. I'm the UN Information Center Director for Colombia, Venezuela, and Ecuador. Here to talk to you about, well, what everybody's talking about. How do we make sustainable development goals relevant? And who do we make them relevant to? The youth and the women are two very important communities that we've decided to particularly focus on. And I'm going to tell you why. The youth and the kids, as you've been hearing all morning, the kids are the ones who are going to make the difference in 2030. They're the ones who communicate with their families. They're the ones who are going to make change happen. So about 2 years ago, I was asked to work at the Habitat 3 conference in Ecuador. And I went there, and Habitat 3 is this big conference about urban meets rural and about urban development. And you have people from all over the world who come into a country, and there's security everywhere and everything gets locked down. But the people in the country don't really know what it's about. And so I was looking around and trying to figure out, well, how do we get to these kids in Quito? How do we explain to them what this is about? What's the UN about? What are we talking about? What is urban development within a sustainable context? And so I decided to think about how they could actually start learning the SDGs, how they could interact. And I contacted Lego one evening through LinkedIn, and out of the blue, and I contacted them and I said, hey, how about we get together and we try to figure out a methodology where kids can learn about implementing the Sustainable Development Goals by building. Let's use these Lego bricks and build the communities and the future that they want. And so they said, okay. And so we started looking at the SDGs and what are the pieces that are needed? We need fish, we need trees, we need things that aren't maybe usually in the Lego bricks. And so they started creating them, and we brought them over, and that was quite complicated. And we started training thousands and thousands of kids using this Lego methodology. And the idea is that from the age of 4 all the way up, and even adults it's a little more difficult because they have a hard time playing. You have to get them back into that mode. But they started looking at what are the SDGs about within their communities. And then they build 3 platforms. One platform is the platform where there is no SDG in their world. Then how do they build it? And then what is the final result? So let's take a quick look at the video so that you can see an example. We moved this from Ecuador then to Colombia and launched it last year, and then I'll tell you a bit more about how it's going now.
Realmente hacer ese vehículo que a través del juego pueden empezar a pensar y jugar con esos valores y saber cómo preparar el bienestar. Cuando están trabajando con esos ladrillos y que están realmente construyendo su futuro con esos ladrillos, están físicamente poniendo lo que tienen en su mente y lo que están haciendo en sus visiones del mundo de paz, lo están armando. Y el hecho que ellos pueden armarlo físicamente muestra que ellos tienen una mano dentro de la visión que tienen.
Podemos ver cómo ella contamina, la deforestación y cómo la fábrica produce tanto carbón que va a la capa de ozono. En el mundo ideal tenemos todo lo contrario. En el mundo ideal tenemos energía accesible y no contaminante con el panel solar, industria, innovación e infraestructura. Con la casa bien hecha quisimos ponerle los mismos materiales para que se viera qué puede pasar. Organizar. Exacto. Ciudades y comunidades sostenibles, podemos ver que toda la comunidad está en armonía.
Entonces esto representa pues que ya hay paz, pues porque todo el ambiente es pacífico. Esto representa igualdad de género, pues porque los 2 policías tienen el mismo trabajo y reciben el mismo salario.
Y son mujer y hombre.
Lego Education ha desarrollado una metodología basada sobre los ladrillos y la fortaleza de los ladrillos, que es el Learning to Play, que se aterriza con los Sustainable Development Goals para acelerar este proceso de conocimiento en los niños y que los SDGs se pueden contextualizar y localizar en sus propias comunidades.
Pues la experiencia que tuve en el taller de Lego fue muy interesante, ya que expresamos lo que nosotros sentíamos de un tema que nos correspondió, y pues a mí me correspondió el cuidado del medio ambiente.
En el taller aprendí que todas las metas de las Naciones Unidas se contrastan, una ayuda a la otra a ser posible. Me pareció muy chévere que usaran Legos porque fue algo diferente, fue algo que nos dejó expresar lo que pensamos.
Me parece que combinaron la forma de ver el mundo y tratar de ayudarlo con una diversión básica para los niños y bastante popular en el mundo. El taller me hizo darme cuenta que las metas se parecen mucho más de lo que podemos ver. A veces cuando tú sales de tu casa ves un mundo perfecto, un mundo donde lo tienes todo, pero cuando tomas una vista más profunda puedes ver que todas estas cosas son reales y están pasando mucho, y si no comenzamos a tomarlas en cuenta, tarde o temprano nuestro mundo se irá.
En el colegio se podrían hacer campañas para concientizar y dar a entender que tenemos que trabajar por el país que queremos para nuestro futuro y nuestras futuras generaciones.
And here we go. So these are children who started launching this initiative. And actually what we did with this afterwards is that we decided to launch it across the country in Colombia. And so we made a deal with game libraries across the country, and especially in 16 vulnerable communities. These are kids that spend a lot of time in these libraries or these game centers in protected areas. And so they're now using this methodology to create the world they want. And what's really interesting is that the younger they are, the more they want green, they want environment, they want SDG 13, 14, 15. They want to go, that's what they want. And the higher you go, the more they're interested in institution building and capacity building and governance, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really interesting also to see, regardless of whether they're in the rural or in the cities, they really all have that tendency. But they're using this as a way to feel empowered. And lastly, what we're doing is that we're now making it global. We're creating something with Beluga. Beluga is this wonderful global educational online platform where kids are going to be able to learn and promote their projects online through this platform. And now we're connecting with municipalities and private sector partners so that some of the most incredible or hard to reach projects are actually going to be funded so that the kids can see that they can make change happen. And that's the point. The SDGs is about people. It's regardless if you're government or if you're a child, if you're public sector, private sector, it's all about just making it happen. And the fact of trying to promote the belief that you can make change, you, whoever you are. And now we're creating this link between the different sectors so that children can believe and so that they will become, it'll become second nature to them. And that's the point of this methodology, is that they grow up and it just becomes natural. And by the time we reach 2030, they will be making the right choices for all of the SDGs. So we now hope to launch this across the world, and